Hey, how you doing? This is Dan Land Pro. You can find us at youtube.com, Steps Express. Make sure you hit that subscribe and that like button. Today we're going over Basic StreamYard and how to set it up. Let's get started. So here we are in Basic StreamYard, and the way you set up Basic StreamYard, most of you are already familiar with an account with StreamYard, so you know you contact StreamYard. They send you a code, a 6-digit code. You put your email in, they send you a 6-digit code. You put that 6-digit code in. It's browser based. So once you set up everything as far as your browser base, they will let you have access to this particular platform right here, and you will see this dashboard come up. Now in this dashboard, you have members down at the bottom, right up here at the far left. On the top left, you have the bottom where you have your members. Then you have your destinations, and that's where you set up your destinations. You see I have 6 destinations already in here. Your queue would be whatever you already have in there, or if you're starting from scratch, it will be 0. And then you could come up here where you will see add destination. You would click add destination, and you see the different platforms or social medias that you can direct your live stream to. So we got YouTube, we got Facebook, and when you click on one of these, it will ask you to authenticate, which is usually your name and password, or if some require a string key, like in YouTube. Once you set that string key up in YouTube, you'll be able to access that destination. It usually takes about 24 hours for YouTube to give you that permission, unless you already got that string key set up over in YouTube. And that's pretty much how you set up your destinations. You notice I have 6 destinations in here, but it will only let me stream or go live to 3 destinations in this particular package. You got 3 packages. You got free, you have intermediate or basic, and then you have professional. I'm not a representative of StreamYard, so you might want to go over to StreamYard and find out exactly what those packages are and what they consist of and what they allow and don't allow. I will touch on some of the things that they do allow and don't allow concerning the packages that I use. Right here you have video, right here, your third one up, second one down, and this is a queue where anything that you go live with will be recorded and stored in this queue. You notice it say you currently have no recordings because I deleted them all so we can do this tutorial. But if you notice at the bottom, down at the left, it says it allows you up to 50 hours. Now in that 50 hours, once you get past 50 hours or start reaching your capacity, you can delete the ones that you don't need, and you can utilize that 50 hours for as many times in many ways as you want. So there's no limit on it as long as you stay within that 50 hours. You also find some new tools that was added to StreamYard recently, where you can take those videos and you can trim them, or you can split them, and you can make a customized video that you want to use as a recording to upload to your channels like YouTube, etc., etc. That's another tutorial. So when we get into broadcast, you see this is where you set up your studio, and you're going to create your live stream as far as going online and being able to broadcast out. And you notice they use the word broadcast. So let's create a studio. So we can either create a use pre-recorded, or we can create a new broadcast. So let's hit create new broadcast, and now you see all those destinations that I showed you before are here, and I get to select which 3 I want to use. So let's just select these 3, and then you will notice we have a record only, which I could select, and it will gray out those destinations because I only want to use it as a record platform. So I just want to do a pre-recording, which I could schedule later to go live with at a later date. That's also another part of the tutorial. Okay, so let's go just pick these 3 destinations. So now with each destination, you're gonna need a title. So we're just gonna call this Basic StreamYard, Basic StreamYard, and that's gonna be our title. And then we're gonna give it a description, which is a tutorial about live streaming in StreamYard. Okay, so now you see where we can schedule a recording. So if I click here, I can schedule a recording and then I could customize the destinations. So we're not gonna schedule a recording, that's another tutorial. But if you were, you can customize each destination and we're gonna click that button. So now that we got a title and a description, whenever you're trying to simultaneously go live, you have to have a title and a description. You don't have to have it for pre-recording or record only. Now you notice each one say basic stream, basic stream. Now you see I came up, as you see, in your case, sometimes you won't have a camera already or you won't have a microphone. That's pretty much something you can set up right here in settings. But you notice I have a meter here under my microphone where if you see me muted, you don't see it, the green anymore. So I have a microphone set up. I also have a camera set up. So you see that camera. Now, if I was to not have a camera or stop camera or lose my camera, I have an avatar set up, which is another tutorial. And we're going to show you how to do that later on. When I want to change those settings, I can go into settings and you see we have a general setting dashboard here where we have general settings where we can do high definition and you can go up to 1080 depending on your package. You have to have a professional package to do the 1080. You can also do shift videos up. So that's when you're using comments or titles, et cetera, you want your video to shift. And you can see where I can use audio avatars. So each question mark that you see, StreamYard is pretty much describing to you what these parameters are. Automatically add shared screens, videos to stream. So a lot of times you don't want to click that because if you click that, when you add a share screen, it'll go automatically to the stream when you want to just put it in your green room until you're ready for it. And that's the same way with any share screen. If you have it on automatic, as soon as you click share screen, it's going to pop up on your screen, which means it may interrupt your live stream and you may not necessarily be ready for it. So make sure you select or deselect that based on what your visions are. You have your camera here where you saw me pick my camera. In this case, I'm using a virtual camera from another program, which a lot of cameras or a lot of programs or software allow. For example, OBS allow virtual cameras. A number of them allow virtual cameras, but you also get a list of all the cameras that you may have coming into your computer, and you get to choose the one that you want to use. I'm just so happy to use a virtual camera because I'm using some other things in conjunction with StreamYard. Audio, the same thing. You see me, I'm using a Scarlett 212. I can use also the MacBook Pro thing. You see this little meter next to the microphone. It's also letting me know that I have good audio. I can test my audio and it'll play something to let you know your audio is working. So you hear the music playing, echo cancellation. That's a lot of times where you're getting that feedback. You want to make sure that's checked. So sometimes when you're not using headphones and you have guests coming in, that echo cancellation is very helpful. Automatically adjust your mic volume. Sometimes you have programs where your volume can be too low or too high. In StreamYard, it automatically adjusts it and keep it at a reasonable volume. Down here, virtual backgrounds. You can have virtual backgrounds where you can pretty much take your background off. We're not going to cover all of this, and you can go in here, and this is where you would set up your green screen if you were using a green screen. Same thing with hotkeys. It's a lot of different parameters in hotkeys. However, this is where you don't have to necessarily use point and click. You can use different keys to do different functions. So when I hit that particular key, if I want that to shift left, or if I want to go solo, you have those different keys or hotkeys that you can add. Guests, and this is where your guests can view the comments. So they can view the comments that's coming in, and you can also have it where if you select, there's some kind of notification when your guests come, or you can make it where they have to authenticate before they come in. If you notice down here, you might have banned guests. So if a guest continuously come into your presentation and you don't want them there, you can put them in this banned guest. So you can mute their microphone and eventually add them to this banned guest list so they can't get back in and create any disruption or interruptions to your live stream. Okay, so now we pretty much got all of those things out of the way. You see right here where it says display name, you notice I have Steppin Express in here. So let's do basic StreamYard in this case. So we're going to have a display name. You notice that display name came up in my camera. So you can see my display name, which can show throughout. Whenever you bring guests in, you also have that where your guests can write their name in, and that is the name that will come up in their display name. So once we have those parameters set, let's hit Enter Studio. Now we're in the studio, and as you notice, we're in the studio, and it's pretty much is pretty much where I want it to be. Let's blank that out. So we have this empty platform. So if you look down to the bottom left, it says you are not part of the stream yet. Click to add your audio and video. So you're not going to automatically come up on stream like you would if you had automatically come up with share screen. So what you have to do is you see right here where it says add to stream. So now I'm going to click that and you see I'm added to the stream. So now that I'm added to the stream, we can go over some of the parameters as far as what's in your basic package. You notice down here you have a window where you can go portrait, and that's usually like you got cell phones coming in. You might have a guest coming in a cell phone. That's a 2-shot. So you'll be in one window and the guest will be in another one. And this is a good time to understand more about the display names, because sometimes the display names don't come up squared or properly in the framing. You have another one which is a double landscape, which you can use for desktop cameras, etc., etc. So when you want to have those come in, that's also a platform that you can use. Now here is more or less where we're going to go over some of these windows when we get to the point about sharing screen. So you can also solo these. Now this is a solo screen for share screen, and this is a solo screen for the main screen. But you also see down here in the green room where you see my camera, if you click on these 3 dots, I can also click on here and edit my name, etc., etc., or I can click this picture where it says exit solo layout. So I can make that a solo layout when I have more than just myself in the green room. So those are the windows that you can use for different layouts depending on what your vision is. If you go down here again, you can mute your microphone. You see where I can stop my camera, and I have an avatar set up. So if somebody unplugged my camera or for any reason the camera dropped out, you can have an image, a customized image that you can use that will come on screen as you continue your podcast without interrupting or disrupting your broadcast until you correct that problem. So let's put that camera back on. Now here we go again. This is the same settings that I showed you before. It's just another place that you can go in case you may want some last minute changes before you go live. Next to settings, you will find present, where you can use Google Slides. You can also use PowerPoint slides. You can even use Pages, but you have to put it in the right format, and that's another situation where you have to see what StreamYard recommend as far as the formats that they would want those slides in before you can use them in your presentation. You have an extra camera here, which is another upgrade, which is another thing that StreamYard offers, so you can have 2 different angles depending on your package. Basic package, I can only use 1 camera, but in a professional package, you can use 2 cameras. Again, in Present, you have video files. So if I had a video file I want to load up, I would come here, I would find my video file like this red, and I would load it up into my green room. So now you see I can go live with that video file. So once I add it to the stream, then I can use it in my presentation. So we're going to leave that there because we're going to use it later to show you something else. So this is a share screen. I'm going to show you how to share screen. You hit share screen. You notice we have an entire screen, which is anything that's on my screen. We have a window, and you see here I can point StreamYard or whatever come up. If I had another application open, it would come up in my window, or I can go Chrome tab and I can select whatever that is. So in this particular case, I'm just going to I'm going to hit share screen. I'm going to select, and then I'm going to hit share screen. And now you see you have a share screen down here in the green room, and also have a video file down here in the green room. So now those are the things that you can do with Present. And the last thing is, if I want to stop share screen, I would just click here and it would stop my share screen, and it would remove this from the green room. Make sure you don't think that you can hit this leave studio to take anything off of the screen, because that's going to actually exit you out of the studio. So that's pretty much it with the Present. Now the last thing down here on the bottom is guests, invite a guest. If you want to invite a guest, you would copy this here. You would copy this code, you would send it to them. They would put it in a browser. When they put it in a browser, they'll be able to put a display name in. They will be able to hit allow camera or allow microphone, and then you will see those guests come up down here in the green room next to your other content in the green room. It'll also allow you, if you click where they had to authenticate, they would have to authenticate, and now they're ready for you to go live when you want to add them to the presentation. So you might want to do your intro and then bring them into the presentation, and then you can use like 2 shots, like the portrait I showed you or the landscape. And that's pretty much it for that particular menu at the bottom. Now let's go up to the top here before you even think about going live. We have some other things to cover. So as you see, we have our 3 destinations selected. Now, if by any chance you notice that you selected the 3 destinations and they're not correct, or you want to make some corrections as far as some of the titles and descriptions that you gave, you can go here, you can hit edit, and I can go right back in here and make sure I correct everything that I might want to change to make sure that I have the names and things that I want in that particular simulcast. So now let's go down here and we'll see the next thing under go live. You'll find in the top right corner is comments. And as you see comments, I can write comments within here, or I can add comments. And for all of those destinations that I'm simultaneously broadcasting to, whatever comments my viewers put in, it'll come up in this queue. And I can pick those comments as a moderator to add to the screen. For example, you see that's a particular comment. So if you had a comment in this queue that I want to add, I can add it to here. And my visitors or guests could see those comments if I click that button I showed you earlier where they're allowed to see the content. A lot of times, depending on the guests that you have, some guests may be focused on your content or your comments, so you might want to disable that with certain guests because you want their undivided attention and you don't want them to keep looking over at the comments to see what's going on. So you want their focus to stay on you or the content at hand. So you might want to disable that. But in most cases, you want to leave it on so that they can see what you see, unless you have some really serious trolling and things like that going on. So then you can click hide because you're in control of the moderation of comments. Now we're going to go to banners. If you notice, I already have 2 banners in here. So let's take them out so you can see how to create a banner. There's 2 ways to create a banner. So you can create a banner without scrolling. So let's just say hello. And once I click add banner, now I can add that hello to my screen. Now you see hello. So now if I want to add a different type of banner, which is a scrolling type of banner, I can say hello or welcome to Steppin Express. And then we can say add banner. Now when you see me click that banner, I get a scroll. So if I want to scroll some events and such things like that, or some special announcements or some upcoming things or some notes that I wanted my viewers to see, I could put it in a scroll and have it scrolling while the show is steady going on periodically or throughout. And you get to moderate that as well and create that as well. So sometimes you might hear something in a presentation that you want everybody to see for longer than you may be on that topic. So you can have that scrolling constantly at the bottom. So now you can take it off because you, like I said, you're in control. So that's banners. The next under banners, you'll find what we call brand. Brand is where all of your bells and whistles are located, and this is where you find most of the content that you'll probably be working with be down here in banners. So the first thing you're gonna see in banners is that I can have more than one brand. And brand is a way for me to have, say, 6 platforms with different colors, different everything set up for that particular show. So like you see me, I have a show set up for Steppin Express, then I might have a brand set up for Danland Pro, then I have another brand set up for Webmaster Dan. So when I come into StreamYard, I can click that particular brand, and that is the brand that will go live, and that is where I will set up how my brand color themes and all of the things that you see here, and they'll be already available when I come back to do that particular show again. If you notice right here, the brand color is that anything that I pick that I want to be the brand color, it will be the theme throughout. Now right here is where you see down show display names. You'll see I had mine disabled because I have my own custom title or lower third on there, so I don't want them to conflict with each other. So I have the privilege through StreamYard to cut that particular thing off. But if you notice, that brand color is whatever color I pick up here in this particular queue. So if I pick red, that's the color that my brand would be. And I have these different brand shapes that we can use in order to identify. So whatever brand shape I pick, it will be on me as well as my visitors. Now I'm going to disable that because, like I said, I have my custom brand already on the screen, and that's coming down here to logos. So now where you see where I have a logo on the free plan, you'll see in the top right corner of the screen that StreamYard logo is usually a watermark that's on all free programs. Until you pick basic or purchase basic or professional, that watermark will be in all your presentations. And once you purchase a particular program, a paid program, then you can remove it with the click of a button and add your own custom banners or logos to that particular position. As you see, like I said, depending on your brand, you can pick which logos you want in this queue, and you can add logos based on this plus sign. So if I go here, just like videos, I would have files here, graphics files, and I could pick those graphic files as far as which logo I want to use at that particular time. So that's enough with logos. So overlays is the same thing. I can have professional overlays like you see this particular lower third here. I might have something in the top left corner. I might have a professional or another banner or logo I want to use in the top right corner. So you see the question mark here again where they give you all the parameters and limitations as to what you can use on those overlays, which are usually alpha channels that you can lay on top of your video. So you want to make sure that screen size is precise, so you won't have things not located properly on the screen, which may block out something very important in your presentation. You want it to be customized, precise, and you can add logos the same way. You can click on the plus sign, and your logo files, as far as your overlays and the things that you have in those files, will be available for you to pick from and add to this queue. Video clips is the same way. Video clips you can loop. As you see, I can have a video clip of choice, so it may be just something I want to keep looping before the show start. It could be an intro, it could be an outro, and it could be something that you want to let play for a while before your guests come on. It could be a quick intro that you might want to play. And the thing about video clips that's different from the video file that I showed you earlier is that they have limitations as far as the minutes. So you can do up to 10 minutes at, I think, 200 meg. So they show you here, right here in the question mark again, StreamYard tell you the screen size, they tell you 200 megabytes, and then 10 minutes. And those are the parameters that you would use for this particular video clip. The thing about these video clips is that you have a little bit more control, so you don't have to worry about transitioning between screens that you might normally find when you're down in the green room trying to put a video on and off and time it perfectly to come back to your presentation or away from your presentation. For example, in this particular video clip, I'm going to show it right quick. It's going to take precedence over my video files, and I'm in control of that. So I can cut it off, I can hide it and show it just like anything else. I can also let it play in its entirety, and when it's completed, it will switch right back to this live presentation. And you add those the same way as I showed you before. You click the plus sign, and depending on the parameters that I just showed you, you will pick that particular file, bring in, and you can have those in your queue or brand that you want to use throughout your presentation. Backgrounds is what you saw me earlier. I took a background away, and these are fillers. So if you had something where you had your guests on in the portrait, or you had them on in the landscape, and you wanted that to show through, then you would have a background picture. So I can show you in settings. So let's go to settings, and they have in here layouts. So if I want to crop that layout and show you that particular way, you notice how my presentation is in the middle and I have a background image in the background. A lot of times when you have your guests on, you want to have that filler in the background instead of just this black. It depends on your vision and how you want to customize your presentation. I like to use a background image in this case, and sometimes it's very complementary to whatever footage that you're using as far as the color schemes that you want to use and whatever your vision is. So when you're not using it in that format, when I want to use a hide, I like to go back to my settings and do away with just hit layouts, and you can check or not check. Now you see my presentation takes up full screen. So if I'm soloing between, you'll see that that's how we use that. Again, you can add backgrounds here. StreamYard provides you some other choices that you can choose, as you see, and you can add your own custom images. They also have third-party plugins that offer background images that you can use throughout your presentation. Now, one of the last things that says new, but it's been a while, but StreamYard added some background music so we can use in these presentations for ambient sound, because before this was not available. And a lot of times people would try to use copyrighted music in their presentations, and it would cause some problems in your presentations, because once the algorithms pick it up, especially on some of the social medias, it would shut it down or cause it to stall or cause the screen to freeze and those type of things. You also can loop these background music. As you see here, you can check between loops so it'll play throughout your presentation while you and your guests talking. So you don't want background music to be really loud. It's not the potential to DJ or anything. It's just something that you can have for ambient sound. So you get to adjust that sound based on how loud you may talk or your guest may talk, where you can have that softly playing in the background. And they have some selections here depending on your choice. Now, I don't know if StreamYard is going to add any more of these background music selections in their queue. But again, I'm not a representative of StreamYard. You can contact StreamYard and see what their plans are for that. But you can add music here, so you can add music or you can select from what they already have here. And that is your choice of music. Again, I always say if you're going to use music, make sure you're using royalty-free music and not copyrighted music, and you probably won't have any problems. They have a lot of different software and third parties that sell background music or royalty-free music that you can get in some of the stock footage and stuff like that that you can use in some of your programs. So that's pretty much it as far as the brand goes. The last thing we're going to cover here, or one of the last things we're going to cover here, is private chat. Private chat is pretty cool because, like you see, I can type a message to my guest. Your mic is off. And the only people that will see this particular particular chat are me and the guest. And that way I don't have to shout across the presentation, hey, your mic is off, or something I want to communicate to the guests to let them know that their mic is off. A lot of times you don't have to worry about it because those who's visiting or viewing will let you know, hey, the sound is bad, or you're getting static, or we can't hear you. But this is something where you don't have to shout across your presentation or disrupt your presentation, because it allows you to notify that person or to correspond with that person without the rest of the viewers aside of the guests seeing what you're doing. So now that we covered all those things, I'm going to show you that when you add a share screen. So if I add a share screen, as you see, this is me sharing the web browser, and it's looking like this because I'm sharing the same program. I'm just sharing a window. But if I was sharing, say, an application, that application would be here, and we can utilize these screens to discuss it in a way that we want to discuss it. So if I want to discuss it and emphasize myself while we talk about a particular topic, I could do that. Or if I want to have the guests and myself talk about a particular topic, we could do that. Then I could do a tutorial format where I'm talking about something in a tutorial way, and we can discuss that, or I can solo that particular share screen in that way. So let's take this share screen off, and then let's add a video file. So now you see that video file I have in a solo mode, and I could do the same thing here. So if I had a video up and I want to describe that video or that presentation in a tutorial format, that's a screen I would use, me and the guest discussing that particular video, and we can pause that video and continue to discuss that video, and then say, okay, we passed that point, now let's discuss some more, and then we can move on with the video. You also have a timeline here where I can scrub to parts of the video that I might want to discuss. And this is the same thing here. If we want to emphasize that screen, we can emphasize that screen. So these two over here are pretty much reserved for your guests as far as the portrait and the landscaping, so we already been over those. So I want you to see how the video and the share screen worked as far as sharing applications, sharing a web browser, sharing any type of thing. And I showed you where if I put slides in the green room, it would be the same thing. The slides would come up as one presentation, and then you will have a point and click where you can go through your slides as you do your presentation, the same way I just showed you about doing a video or share screen or something as far as whatever your topic is on your show. I watch a lot of shows, and some of them I see where they try to do some of these things, and the thing you have to remember with share screen is that you are in control as the moderator as to, for example, when that come on screen and how you transition. So if you have a video and that video has played in its entirety, it's up to you to be able to switch back to their solo screen or one of the layouts or the two-shot that you may want to switch back to, because it's not like video clips where it's going to return back to playing that particular thing once it's complete. Especially if it's a loop video, it will start over again. Okay, so that's pretty much it as far as setting up a basic go live in StreamYard. So as you see, the last thing we cover is go live. When you're ready to go live and you have everything set up. You got your guests in the green room. You got the presentations that you're going to present. You got your slides. Whatever it is that's a part of that presentation should already be set up as far as your adjustments on your background music, your logo, etc., etc. You have everything set up. Now you're ready to go live. The last thing I would suggest that you do is go back to edit. Make sure you have the titles and descriptions for each broadcast or destination that you want to use, so you won't be in error. Make sure you have it public or whatever you want to pick as privacy, public, unlisted, or private, and that's in all three. Make sure you have those correct, because you may want one to be public and two to be public and one to be unlisted. It's up to you. Make sure you have all those things, and then click your save changes, and now you're ready to go live. When you go live, you do your presentation. The good thing about StreamYard is that when you finish that presentation, StreamYard is going to have a recording of that presentation. So when you return back to the dashboard, you will see that you can go in this video file, and that presentation will be available for you to review, download, or use in other capacities. And that's where the StreamYard trim tool and split tool comes into handy. It comes to benefit you or come to be an advantage for you. So we have a tutorial up already on the trim tool, so make sure you go and check that video out. It's a very simple process. It's a trim tool that you could take. Say you was waiting on your audience to come in and you had a timer plan. You want to take that off or something off the end, and you want to use it on your YouTube channel so you can upload that video without the audience having to wait for all of that overkill to play before they can see your video. In other words, things that you had on there live, when you went live, you might want to trim off before you use it in a pre-recorded capacity. So that's the great thing about StreamYard. So that's pretty much it. The basics of StreamYard. I'm Dan Land Pro. Make sure you go over to youtube.com, hit Steppers Express keyword. Make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and hit that share. Hey, we're going to bring you more content as we go along. More tutorials to come. Till next time, peace.